The final round at Bay Hill was supposed to be about Daniel Berger chasing his fifth PGA Tour victory. It was supposed to be about Shane Lowry seeking redemption after his Cognizant Classic collapse, or Russell Henley trying to add another trophy to his resume. Instead, the most explosive comments about Sunday's drama came from someone who wasn't even there. Phil Mickelson, watching from 3,000 miles away in his LIV golf world, saw something in the broadcast that nobody else noticed. And now, in an exclusive interview, he's revealing what really happened on that 12th hole, the moment that could change everything. The 2026 Arnold Palmer Invitational delivered exactly what fans hoped for. Daniel Berger, the 32-year-old Florida State alum seeking his fifth PGA Tour victory, carried a one-shot lead into the final round. Russell Henley, winner of this event in 2022, was right on his heels. Shane Lowry, still carrying the weight of his Cognizant Classic collapse, was just 2 shots back. The back nine at Bay Hill delivered the drama everyone expected. Henley made a charge. Lowry hung tough. Berger held on. By the time the final putt dropped, Berger had captured his first victory since 2021, earning $4 million and a massive confidence boost heading into the Masters. But while cameras focused on the leaders, while broadcasters celebrated Berger's comeback, something else was happening down the fairway, something that would become the subject of intense scrutiny in the days that followed. A player in contention had committed a rules violation on the 12th hole. The violation went unnoticed during live broadcast. The player signed his scorecard, walked off the course, and likely assumed his day was done. But in Rancho Santa Fe, California, someone was watching, someone who knows a thing or two about controversy. Phil Mickelson had the tournament on in his home. He saw the same footage that millions of others saw. But unlike millions of others, he recognized immediately what had happened. And now, for the first time, he's sharing what he saw. The 12th hole at Bay Hill has a reputation, a 208-yard par 3 guarded by water on the left and bunkers on the right. It's the kind of place where tournaments go to die. Players know that survival, not heroics, is the goal. But on Sunday, one player decided to play hero, and that's when things got interesting. According to Phil Mickelson, who was watching from his home in Rancho Santa Fe, California, the incident occurred when a player in contention found himself in a difficult lie just off the green. High-definition broadcast cameras captured something that most viewers missed in real time. You have to understand, I've been playing this game at the highest level for over 30 years, Mickelson told Golf Swing in an exclusive interview. When you've been around as long as I have, you develop an eye for things that don't look right, and what I saw on that 12th hole, it just didn't look right. Mickelson claims the player grounded his club in what appeared to be an unusual manner before playing his chip shot. Rule 8.1 of the Rules of Golf prohibits deliberately improving the area of intended swing. According to Mickelson, slowed-down footage appears to show the player pressing down on the grass behind his ball in a way that could be interpreted as improving his lie. "I watched it 3 times in slow motion," Mickelson said. "The way his club settled into the turf, the way the grass compressed, it wasn't natural, it looked deliberate. And then his caddy steps into frame at that exact moment. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's not." The player then executed a near-perfect chip to within 3 feet and saved par. That par, crucially, kept him within striking distance of the lead as the back nine unfolded. Here's where it gets interesting. Mickelson isn't the only one who noticed something unusual. PGA Tour rules officials have reportedly reviewed the same footage and have opened an inquiry into the incident. Sources confirm that the player has been contacted and asked to provide his version of events. "I'm not calling anyone a cheater," Mickelson was quick to clarify. "I'm just saying what I saw. The rules are the rules for a reason. If a violation occurred, it needs to be addressed. If it didn't, then the player deserves to have his name cleared. Either way, the tour has a responsibility to be transparent about what happened." The player at the center of the controversy has not commented publicly. His caddy has also remained silent, but sources say both are cooperating fully with the investigation. As for Mickelson, he's no stranger to controversy himself. The six-time major champion has spent the last several years as the face of LIV Golf, making him a polarizing figure in the sport. But when asked why he decided to speak up about this incident, his answer was simple. Golf is a game of integrity. That's what makes it special. When that integrity is questioned, we all have a responsibility to protect it, even from 3,000 miles away. The investigation continues, and the golf world is watching closely. While Phil Mickelson's revelations have sent shockwaves through the golf world, the name everyone is whispering, but no one will officially confirm, has now become the worst-kept secret in the sport. According to multiple sources, the player at the center of this controversy is Akshay, the 24-year-old left-hander who just captured the biggest victory of his career at Bay Hill. Bhatia's final round was the stuff of legend. After starting the day in the final pairing, he found himself 5 shots behind leader Daniel Berger at the turn, following a missed 30-inch par putt on the 9th hole. What followed was an Arnold Palmer-like charge. 4 consecutive birdies, an eagle on the par 5 16th that reduced Berger's advantage to 1, and ultimately a playoff victory that seemed destined for highlight reels. But within hours of his triumph, the conversation shifted dramatically. Social media exploded with accusations about Bhatia's putting technique, which has been a subject of controversy for weeks. At the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, when Bhatia was leading after 3 rounds, popular golf account Rick Golfs on X started a thread questioning whether his broomstick putter was violating Rule 10.1b, which prohibits anchoring the club against the body. Is Akshay anchoring here? I am not accusing, but there is a point to the question, the post read. The USGA and R&A screwed up royally when they banned anchoring but didn't ban putter lengths. Because touching clothing is legal, it's impossible to detect now. Bhatia addressed the controversy at Pebble Beach directly, saying, "Not anchoring, literally 2 inches short of my chest, haha." But the questions never fully subsided. After his Bay Hill victory, the accusations returned with a vengeance. Tyler Tamboline, co-founder of Ship It Nation, shared a photo of Bhatia's putting stroke showing the lack of daylight between his hand and his shirt, writing, "Might need an API for the API winner. Anchor putting investigation." Fans were even less forgiving. "Cheat putter. Asterisk," one fan stated immediately after the win. Another added, "Good for him, but that putting style sure seems sus." The controversy touches on a sensitive area of golf rules. Before 2016, players could use belly putters and broomsticks anchored against their bodies. After Rule 10.1b was implemented, that practice was banned. The rule prohibits creating a fixed pivot point by anchoring the club against the body. But when the club merely brushes against clothing, that's where interpretation becomes difficult. Bhatia's transformation since switching to the broomstick in late 2023 at the Fortinet Championship has been dramatic, advice he received from Lucas Glover that revitalized his career. His statistics have skyrocketed, and now he has 3 career victories, all remarkably coming in playoffs. But as long as questions about his technique linger, his triumph at Bay Hill may remain as debated as it was celebrated. Phil Mickelson's decision to speak up has only amplified the scrutiny. Mickelson, no stranger to controversy himself, was careful not to directly accuse Bhatia of cheating. But his observations about the 12th hole incident, the grounding issue, added another layer to an already complicated story. Now the PGA Tour faces a dilemma. The investigation into the Rule 8.1 violation continues. The public debate over Bhatia's putting technique rages on, and a young player who should be celebrating the biggest win of his career is instead defending his integrity on every platform. The golf world is now divided into 2 warring camps. On one side, fans and media are demanding answers, with some already placing an asterisk next to Bhatia's Bay Hill victory. On the other side, players like Michael Kim are rushing to defend their fellow competitor, insisting that there's nothing to see here. The numbers tell part of the story. Bhatia gained an astonishing 10.6 strokes on the greens at Bay Hill, 3.5 strokes more than anyone else in the field. Since switching to the 50-inch jailbird broomstick putter at the end of 2023, his putting stats have transformed completely. From ranking 183rd in strokes gained putting in 2023, he jumped to 33rd in 2024 and now sits 12th on tour this season. That's the kind of improvement that naturally draws scrutiny. But here's where the PGA Tour finds itself in an impossible position. Rule 10.1b prohibits anchoring the club against the body, either directly or indirectly. The key phrase is against the body. If the club merely touches clothing without being held against the torso, it's technically legal, and that's where the gray area becomes a canyon. Michael Kim, a fellow PGA Tour winner, has been Bhatia's most vocal defender. Taking to X, he wrote, "It's funny to me that Akshay anchoring is a thing. In person, it's not that close. This is not a concern amongst the players." Kim later added technical context. It would be breaking the rules if the butt end of the putter was in contact with his chest during his putt. It can be more stable and easier to start putts online, in theory. But not everyone agrees. TC from the popular golf podcast, No Laying Up, countered Kim's defense directly. "I talked to 3 players yesterday, all of whom said it was a big concern." So even among the players, there's a split. This puts the PGA Tour in an impossible position. If they investigate Bhatia and find nothing, they've subjected a young star to public humiliation for no reason. If they don't investigate, the noise will only get louder. And if they do investigate and find something, that would mean disqualifying a popular winner from one of their signature events. Dan Rappaport, speaking on his podcast, proposed a solution that might actually work. Rather than trying to enforce an unenforceable rule about intent, he suggested requiring daylight between a player's top hand and their chest. You should have to be able to see daylight between a top hand of a player and their chest. Not all broomstick grips are created equal. So here's Will Zalatoris when he's putting with a broomstick. "I see daylight. It is clearly not on his chest." Now here's Akshay Bhatia. There's no daylight there. And I'm not saying that Akshay is anchoring. I don't think he is. He said he's not anchoring, and I believe him. But it's just too close for comfort, and it's leading to some nasty accusations. Rappaport's suggestion gets to the heart of the matter. The current rule is based on intent, which is impossible to prove. A daylight rule would be objective, enforceable, and would eliminate the gray area entirely. For now, the tour is staying silent. No official statement, no investigation announcement, just the quiet hope that the controversy will fade on its own. It won't. The controversy surrounding Akshay Bhatia's putting stroke isn't just about one player or one tournament. It's about a fundamental flaw in how the rules of golf are written and enforced. When the USGA and R&A banned anchoring in 2016, they made a calculated decision. They outlawed the act of fixing the club against the body, but they didn't limit putter length. The result is the gray area we see today, players using broomstick putters that come dangerously close to their chests without technically anchoring. "It was a massive screw-up," Dan Rappaport said bluntly. "Because touching clothing is legal, it's impossible to detect now. This ambiguity puts everyone in an impossible position. Players like Bhatia are left to defend their integrity against accusations they can never fully disprove. Officials are left trying to enforce a rule that requires mind reading, and fans are left to argue endlessly about something that can't be resolved with the technology we have. The PGA Tour now faces a choice. They can do nothing and let the controversy fester every time Bhatia plays. They can launch an investigation that would humiliate a young star even if it clears him. Or they can advocate for a rule change that would finally bring clarity to this mess. Rappaport's daylight proposal is the most sensible solution. Requiring visible space between a player's hand and chest would create an objective standard that officials could actually enforce. It would eliminate the gray area that currently allows for endless debate, and it would protect players like Bhatia from accusations they don't deserve. For Bhatia himself, the situation is deeply unfair.
He's followed the rules as they're written, he's answered every question honestly, he's let multiple officials examine his technique, and still he can't escape the whispers. "It's funny to me that Akshay anchoring is a thing," Michael Kim wrote. "In person, it's not that close. This is not a concern amongst the players. But it is a concern among fans, and as long as the rules remain ambiguous, that concern will never fully disappear." Phil Mickelson, watching from afar, understands this better than most. He spent his entire career in the spotlight, facing scrutiny that often had little to do with his actual play. His decision to speak up about the 12th hole incident wasn't about accusing anyone, it was about protecting the integrity of a game he loves. The rules are the rules for a reason. If a violation occurred, it needs to be addressed. If it didn't, then the player deserves to have his name cleared. Either way, the tour has a responsibility to be transparent. The 2026 Arnold Palmer Invitational will be remembered for Daniel Berger's victory and Akshay Bhatia's playoff triumph, but it should also be remembered as the moment the golf world finally confronted a rule that has been broken for a decade. The question now is whether the governing bodies will listen. For more coverage of the biggest stories in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.